reading from the book of wisdom. I prayed, and prudence was given me. I pleaded, and the spirit of wisdom came to me. I preferred her to scepter and throne, and deemed riches nothing in comparison with her, nor did I liken any priceless gem to her, because all gold in view of her is a little sand, and before her silver is to be accounted mire. Beyond health and comeliness I loved her, and I chose to have her rather than the light, because the splendor of her never yields to sleep. Now God grant that I speak suitably and value these endowments at their worth, for he is the guide of wisdom and the director of the wise. For both we and our words are in his hand, as well as all prudence and knowledge of crafts. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Lord, teach me your statutes.
Lord, teach me your statutes.
How shall a young man be faultless in his way? By keeping to your words.
Lord, teach me your statutes.
With all my heart I seek you. Let me not stray from your commands.
Lord, teach me your statutes.
Within my heart I treasure your promise, that I may not sin against you.
Lord, teach me your statutes.
Blessed are you, O Lord. Teach me your statutes.
Lord, teach me your statutes.
With my lips I declare all the ordinances of your mouth.
Lord, teach me your statutes.
In the way of your decrees I rejoice, as much as in all riches.
Lord, teach me your statutes. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew. Jesus spoke to the crowds and to his disciples. Do not be called Rabbi. You have but one teacher, and you are all brothers. Call no one on earth your father. You have but one Father in heaven. Do not be called Master. You have but one Master, the Christ. The greatest among you must be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, but whoever humbles himself will be exalted. The Gospel of the Lord. Okay, we can talk a little bit about St. Thomas Aquinas. If you knew that as he wanted to become a Dominican, his family were so outraged that they actually kidnapped him and held him prisoner for a year before he could escape, you would think that they were very, very anti-religious. Well, they weren't. They were just anti-Dominican. He was born and raised very, very near, pretty much in the shadows of Monte Cassino, the great, great Benedictine monastery. And their plans for him were to become a Benedictine and ultimately become the abbot of Monte Cassino. And the Benedictines were very, very, very reputable. The Dominicans, on the other hand, very, very, very disreputable. They were only just founded at this point a few decades earlier. So they were not so sure about these people. Aquinas persevered, though, nevertheless. Pursued his studies, became a master of theology, taught at Paris, did a bunch of other things like that. He is fascinating to me for a bunch of reasons. The first is that he was, intellectually speaking, on the absolute cutting edge of the 13th century by bringing that pagan philosopher Aristotle into play, because Aristotle's philosophy was the hot item academically among intellectuals in those days. It did not have the approval of the church. Aquinas said, you know what? We're bringing it together anyhow. I'm going to take Aristotle's philosophy and his structures and his mindset, and I'm going to put it together with Catholic theology, and we're going to make a synthesis. And he did, even though there were any number of people in the Catholic Church who believed that it was heretical to do so. And in fact, there were several specific condemnations against teaching Aristotle. Aquinas kind of sidestepped those condemnations, and he did what he did. He did what he did. Because he did what he did, though, you may or may not be aware of the fact that after his death, he was accused of heresy. Okay, he was vindicated, as we know, and was ultimately declared a saint. He died, I think he was 50 years old, on the way to Lyon from Naples, which is where he was teaching and establishing the school at that time. He was on the way to a general council of Lyon in which it was hoped there would be an effective reconciliation between the East and the West. Well, it came to absolutely nothing, and Aquinas died on the way to the council, somewhere just a little bit north of Naples, in a monastery there called Fossanova, which I have visited. Interesting situation. He's reputed to have been so fat they had to cut a section of the table away so he could fit. But I'm telling you that if he died in the room where I saw him, he could not have gotten up that staircase if he was that fat. I can guarantee you that. Now, he is also declared as a doctor of the church. He is the first person declared a doctor of the church after the four famous Latin doctors and four famous Eastern Greek doctors of the church, the original ones. It is not an accident that he was declared a doctor of the church by Pope Pius V. I say that's no accident because Aquinas was a Dominican, and so was Pope Pius V. So he kind of is supporting his own crowd, you might say. But that's okay. That's okay. From the time of Leo XIII on, the end of the 19th century, Aquinas and the Summa Theologica have had a very, very special place in the history of the teaching of the faith in the Catholic Church, particularly in seminaries. It's a good structure, okay? We don't always agree with the intellectual constructs of Aristotle, but it's a good structure to learn. And it's an organization that he supplied to church teaching, which is still magnificent to this day. Very, very important and very, very faithful. So today we can celebrate the Dominicans, we can celebrate St. Thomas Aquinas, we can celebrate learning in the church, and ask the Lord to help us to do a little bit more, perhaps, of reading and studying today, to come a little bit closer to him in our understanding of God and our understanding of our faith. Let us stand and pray.